You know that feeling when you're sitting in a meeting and suddenly you just know the project is going to fail before anyone else sees the warning signs? Or when you meet someone new and your gut screams danger, even though they seem perfectly charming to everyone else? Most INFJs spend their lives thinking there's something wrong with their brain because they're constantly seeing patterns, predicting outcomes, and reading people in ways that feel almost supernatural. But here's what nobody tells you. Your brain isn't broken. It's operating on a completely different strategic level than 98% of the population. You're not too sensitive. You're not overthinking. You're not imagining things. You have a neurological advantage that most people can't even comprehend. Less than 2% of people have this specific brain wiring, and it's not a coincidence. It's a strategic design that provides you with 3 psychological mechanisms that function like weapons when you understand how to utilize them. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll stop apologizing for how your mind works and start leveraging it like the strategic anomaly it actually is. Before we start, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our weekly deep dives into the world of personality types. And if you are looking to achieve a deeper understanding of yourself and your personality type, click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test. The Predictive Engine: How Introverted Intuition Creates Strategic Advantage. Let's start with the most potent weapon in your cognitive arsenal: introverted intuition. And no, this isn't some mystical psychic ability. This is sophisticated pattern recognition operating at a level so advanced it seems magical to people who don't have it. While most people process information in a straight line, collecting facts, analyzing them step by step, and then drawing conclusions, your brain works entirely differently. You're unconsciously collecting massive data sets from everything around you: micro-expressions, vocal tonalities, energy shifts, behavioral patterns. And your mind is running this information through an incredibly complex algorithm below your conscious awareness. This is why you get those sudden knowing moments where you just understand something is true before you can explain why it's true. Your unconscious mind has already processed thousands of data points, identified the pattern, and delivered the conclusion to your conscious awareness as what feels like intuition. But it's actually advanced pattern recognition. Here's where it gets strategically powerful. While other people are still gathering information and trying to figure out what's happening, you've already predicted the inevitable outcome. You can see 3 moves ahead in the chess game while everyone else is focused on the current move. In relationships, this means you often know when something is shifting before your partner has even consciously realized it themselves. You pick up on the subtle changes in communication patterns, the slight shifts in emotional availability, the microscopic alterations in behavior that signal more profound changes coming. You're not being paranoid. You're reading data that others can't even perceive. In business situations, this translates to an almost unfair advantage. You can sense which deals are going to fall through, which team members are about to quit, which strategies are doomed to fail before the logical proof appears. You're seeing the future while others are stuck analyzing the present. The challenge is that this predictive ability often feels isolating because you're operating on a different timeline than everyone else. You're preparing for outcomes that won't be obvious to others for weeks or months. When you try to warn people about what you're seeing, they often dismiss you as being negative or overthinking. But here's the strategic advantage. Once you stop doubting your predictive abilities and start trusting them, you can position yourself perfectly for what's coming. You can make decisions that seem premature to others but turn out to be exactly right. You can avoid disasters that blindside everyone else. You can capitalize on opportunities that others don't see developing. The most common mistake INFJs make is suppressing this predictive engine because they can't explain the logical steps. They think that if they can't show their work, the conclusion must be wrong. But your brain doesn't work in logical steps. It works in pattern recognition and predictive modeling. When you feel that sudden knowing about a situation, don't immediately dismiss it because you can't prove it yet. Instead, Ask yourself what data points your unconscious mind is processing that your conscious mind hasn't organized yet. Often, when you dig deeper, you'll find the logical evidence that supports what your intuition already knew. This predictive ability becomes even more powerful when you learn to communicate it effectively. Instead of saying, "I have a feeling this won't work," try saying, "Based on the patterns I'm seeing, here are the potential risks I'm concerned about." This frames your insight as a strategic analysis rather than an emotional reaction. The social intelligence weapon. Extroverted feeling as data collection system. Now let's talk about your second strategic weapon, and this one might be even more powerful than your predictive abilities. Extroverted feeling. And before you roll your eyes, thinking this is just about being friendly or empathetic, let me stop you right there. This isn't empathy. This is real-time emotional and social data collection operating at a level that would make intelligence agencies jealous. When you walk into any room, your brain immediately starts mapping the emotional landscape of that space. You're unconsciously scanning every person's microexpressions, reading their vocal tonality, and picking up on energy shifts and tension patterns that most people miss entirely. Within minutes, you have a detailed psychological profile of everyone present, and you know exactly how they're feeling, what they're hiding, and what they need. This isn't some mystical ability. This is your brain processing thousands of subtle social cues simultaneously. While other people are focused on the surface conversation, you're reading the subtext. You're noticing the person who's performing with confidence yet actually feels insecure. You're picking up on the underlying tension between two colleagues who seem perfectly professional. You're sensing the emotional needs that people aren't even consciously aware of. Here's where this becomes a strategic weapon. In negotiations, you have access to information that your counterparts don't even know they're broadcasting. You can sense when someone is bluffing, when they're genuinely interested, when they're about to walk away, when they're more flexible than they're pretending to be. This gives you an almost unfair advantage in any social or business interaction. In leadership positions, this data collection system allows you to create environments where people feel genuinely seen and understood. You know precisely what motivates each team member, their insecurities, and the kind of recognition they need. You can predict interpersonal conflicts before they escalate and address underlying issues that others may not even notice exist. But here's where it gets interesting and slightly dangerous. This social intelligence can absolutely be weaponized. When your boundaries are weak, or you're operating from a place of manipulation rather than genuine care, you can use this emotional data to influence people in ways they may not even realize. You can push their buttons, exploit their insecurities, or manipulate their responses. This is why people sometimes find INFJs unsettling. They sense on some level that you see through their masks and performances. You're reading information they thought was private, and that can feel invasive or threatening, even when you're not doing anything with that information. The key is learning to use this social intelligence ethically and strategically. You want to leverage your ability to read people and situations to create better outcomes for everyone involved, not to gain unfair advantage or manipulate others for your own benefit. The challenge with this data collection system is that it requires a substantial amount of energy to operate. You're constantly absorbing emotional information from everyone around you, and if you don't have firm boundaries, this can absolutely deplete you. You might find yourself feeling drained after social interactions, not because you don't like people, but because you've been unconsciously processing everyone's emotional state. This is why energy management becomes crucial for INFJs. You need to learn how to consciously turn this data collection system on and off. You need practices that help you discharge the emotional information you've absorbed. And you need boundaries that protect you from taking on other people's emotional states as your own responsibility. When you master this balance, your social intelligence becomes one of your most powerful strategic assets. You can navigate complex social situations with ease. You can quickly build genuine connections with people. You can influence outcomes in ways that benefit everyone involved. And you can create the kind of authentic relationships that most people spend their entire lives searching for. The purpose-driven fusion. when introverted intuition and extroverted feeling create unstoppable mission. Now, here's where things get really interesting. When your predictive intuition combines with your social intelligence, something extraordinary happens. You don't just see what's coming, and you don't just understand people at a deep level. You develop an almost biological drive toward a mission that feels larger than yourself. This fusion creates what I call the purpose-driven engine. And this is why INFJs often feel as though they are chosen or called to something specific. Your entire cognitive system is designed to identify problems that need solving, predict the outcomes of current systems, and understand precisely what people need. Then, channel all of that insight toward creating meaningful change. Once this engine activates, you become almost immune to the distractions and setbacks that derail most people. You're not motivated by money, status, or external validation. You're encouraged by the deep knowing that you're here to contribute something meaningful, to make things better in some specific way. This is the steel behind the softness that people often underestimate about INFJs. You might appear gentle and accommodating on the surface, but underneath, there's an uncompromising commitment to your vision. When you know something matters, when you've identified a problem that needs solving, when you've connected with a purpose that resonates with your core values, you become absolutely relentless. The activation protocol is simple, but not easy. You need to align your daily actions with this unconscious strategic purpose. Most INFJs suppress this drive because it doesn't fit into conventional career paths, or because they're afraid of seeming too intense or unrealistic. But this suppression is precisely what keeps you feeling unfulfilled and disconnected from your power. The transformation happens when you stop trying to fit into other people's expectations and start leveraging your strategic anomaly. You realize that your different way of seeing and processing information isn't a liability. It's precisely what makes you valuable. You stop apologizing for your intensity and start using it to your advantage. Your brain isn't broken. It's operating on a different strategic level than 98% of the population. Stop suppressing your predictive abilities and social intelligence to make others comfortable. Subscribe for more content on maximizing your psychological advantages. If you want to continue the journey to understanding yourself or an INFJ in your life, click either of the following videos, where we continue to unlock the secrets of the INFJ personality type.